All right, it is March 25th, 2013. First weekend of spring. It's been a couple years since we've done this, so there are a lot of changes. I believe the last time we did this, there were palms and pots here. Those have been replaced since the 2021 freeze. This is a new loquat with daffodils beneath it. Coming around to the porch, the Puerto Rico palms, the Christmas palms, have grown a lot. They've up to the biggest pots we have. A couple more years, and we'll have to start storing them in the house during the winter. We have hostas on the porch. They seem to like it here, as does the night blooming cactus. The coffee is still on the porch. Got coffee one year, none this past year. We've switched over to holly ferns on the hanging baskets. They have tended to do very well. They're about to be repotted. The baskets are falling apart. This is the second coffee tree. A year or so ago, Tana got these little hanging baskets. We cycle through seasonal flowers in there. Right now we have tulips that have sort of stalled out on us. They emerged, but have not really grown since then. We had a freeze this winter. Dropped all the leaves off of the gardenias, but they're all coming back. We have stopped pruning the crepe myrtle in February, which makes life a lot easier. We've also spread the hostas out here to the little garden. The statue here is a new addition since our last video. Very hard to find anything to do in that corner, so we kind of viewed it as an art niche. Put a statue in there. The azaleas are done blooming. It'll be about time to cut them back a little bit because they're taking over the sidewalk. Coming around here, the rosemary died in the 2021 freeze, so we put it in a pot. Give some interest to this section of the yard. Also daffodils below there, as well as crocus. We're in asparagus season right now, so it's been picked over already today. This little flower bed has still been very hard to find anything to do with. If that tree comes down anytime in the relatively near future, I may build a little potting shed here, move the column and send them into somewhere else. Here we have the avocado. We got one avocado last year, and we have been continuing to up-pot palms as they go into the ground elsewhere. The grapes are just putting on their leaves for this year. We'll come back around. Here, the courtyard, the sage is still doing okay. Just have not been able to have success with lavender, so we're gonna try some sunflowers here this year. We switched over to this winter frost gardenia. In the last couple of weeks, it's really started to look a little sad. The hydrangeas are starting to put on their leaves. This is the mango. It has been doing excellent in this pot. So I've been very happy with that. Switched over, got a new water hose reel. This one looks neat. It's not cheap in plastic. I've been very happy with it. In the meantime, big change. Also, we got solar in the last 2 years. So the electrical boxes look like we could land the space shuttle. Over in the corner, the elephant ears are doing well. They're coming back from the freeze. In that tree spot, we've settled on a chestnut tree, which is the same as the one in the porch. So hopefully, since it will probably require a pollinator, 2 of them will be good enough, and maybe we'll get some chestnuts. It also has daffodils at its base. We've got a variegated lemon coming in the mail this week, and that's going to go right here on this little spot with the flagstone. Lima beans, the bougainvillea continues to survive all the freezes, but it dies back every year. The pineapple garden has also become somewhat of a spare plant spot. I divided a bunch of the variegated ginger this year, and so we've got about a dozen pots of it, as well as some random bananas, a cabbage, and a couple other things. The jasmine survives the freezes. It's just beginning to flower. Another big change from last video is that this sidewalk that did end right here has now been extended and wraps around the bed. And we've also added this tropical hedge in. They bought very little for the tropical hedge. Most of it was things that we had already. Elephant ears, cannas, philodendrons that we sprouted. Did buy some lilies. The bananas are from the original banana tree, and in the late spring and summer, it should provide a nice wall of green between us and our neighbors. In the big bed right now we have corn and a couple random pots. Coming around here, we've also extended the aqueduct all the way out to the end of the property and filled it with annuals like pansies right now and vincas. In there also are daisies and some jalapenos that I just planted today. Stepping out into the yard, you can see the fruit tree line is still here, but a little sad. The citrus, which were 8 to 12 feet tall, died back in this last freeze. We'd gotten quite a few lemons and limes, quite a few limes from the 2 lime trees, and looks like we're starting again on those. Out along the edge of the ditch, we've begun to plant palm trees. We've got 4 in there right now. Several more that I put in late last summer that didn't make it through the freeze. I'll have to dig those up over the next few weeks, but that's okay. I've got more. As long as I can get them in before the heat of the summer, I think they'll be able to establish themselves and survive any additional freezes. I think they were just in the ground too little last year. Back up to the aqueduct, we've got these hollyhocks that are doing very well. Since they're biennial, this should be the year they flower. Here is a plant we got from Dwayne Colvin. I'll remember the name in a second. Walking up the aqueduct, we'll get another view of the pineapple garden. The blackberries, they're a thornless variety. We don't really get many blackberries off of it because the birds eat most of them. Step out into the yard here. These palms have survived the freeze. The freezes, I should say. 2 of the 3 did. Here's a Althea that we got from Sharon. And we actually were able to divide it, and now we have 2 of equal height. The lemongrass just got cut back a couple of weeks ago. I think the roses here finally didn't make it. I did not go through the tree line to tell you what was in it, but once again, it's lime, lemon, orange, grapefruit, peach, guava, fig, that's a quince, that's relatively new, the persimmon, the plum is doing very well where it is. We got quite a few last year, and at the very end is the olive. I go back up onto the deck. And the herb planters right now, the oregano is loving the spring. Cilantro is on its last legs. We've got another little mango in a pot here, as well as the original chestnut tree that's really begun to get some good growth on it. Down below are the paper whites that come back every year. Some cuttings from the gardenias grew, and we potted them on, and got them a little bit bigger here and there, and we finally put them in the ground last year. They survived the freeze, and I think that they'll really begin to flourish this year. We've still got a bunch of palms ready to go into the ditch. Hanging baskets here are the arrowhead. In the planter boxes, we've got geraniums, and petunias. Up on the porch, eggplant and jalapeno, along with the usual mint, green onion, and catnip. Back here we've got some carnations and a tree fern. And this was during the last winter, turned out to be a really good seed growing place. So we've got a lot of seeds and cuttings going right now. Curry, different beans, jalapenos, more petunias, lima beans, sunflowers, California poppies, some Althea cuttings, and more carnations. Right on this side, got some more jalapenos potted in these pots, and the amaryllis just bloomed today. It just opened. Got a nice shot of the amaryllis bloom. More jalapenos, more eggplants. Coming back down. We got this pineapple shaped bird feeder from my mom. I think that was a gift for Tana's birthday last year. The smaller birds like it. We've started to grow a little box hedge in honor of Monty Dunn. We've also espaliered this apple tree. It's a golden Dorset. We just put the third line on today towards the bottom. We might be able to get one more at the top. And it's flowering, and we've got a couple of small apples. We'll see if they hold on in our Texas heat. The blueberries are putting their leaves on. Those may end up getting replanted. They've never been terribly successful. We've got some zucchini in this box. This Lisbon lemon, which we kept in the garage for about a week during the coldest part of the year. They're big, juicy lemons. They're delicious. We probably got 15 of it off there. Here we've got tomatoes. Some of them didn't really appreciate the transplanting. We'll see how they go. There's banana. This is where we trim back all the variegated ginger that had really begun to creep out into the flower bed. Here's the second of those plants from Dwayne Colvin, and my memory now tells me that they're a plumeria. I don't know what color they are. We'll see if they flower. We've moved the garlic over here. Instead of the big bed, it stopped doing very well over there. The big bed has begun to get filled with roots because of the oak trees, and it may be the future spot of a greenhouse. the roses continue to amaze. They do so well over here. We're just starting to get some flowers. Tabo garden is a little sad right now. The cold freeze really knocked it down a lot. It had a lot of insulation in there with all the extra pine needles and leaves. Most everything's alive, but died back. The wisteria here at the end, it is in fact alive. We've got a little sprig fighting its way up. The irises from my mom's house, the gardenia, more cannas and gladiolus. There's the third and final plumeria from Dwayne Colvin. The guava is alive, barely, as is the monstera. The chrysanthemums seem to come back every year. The original banana, the elephant ear is on its way back. A couple of palms that may not survive. The red sisters don't look happy, and neither does the hydrangea or the philodendron. But the other bananas and cannas and palm trees are all still with us. We also expanded into this bed since the last video. It's got a banana and the Mexican fan palm as the sort of basis of the bed. There's some sunflowers and gladiolus in the front, as well as arrowhead. There is this climbing vine, clematis. It's got these big showy purple flowers on it. Working this year to get it to branch out and to spread. Back over here to finish up. This garden spire moves from place to place. Right now it's protecting a butterfly bush. We've added a bird bath. It was over there where the statue is, but it has found its way over here where it can get water off of the roof as well as water from the sprinkler system. It's a nice view of the Rose Arch.